Hey babe, welcome to the Ariel show. I'm Ariel and so happy and honored and thrilled to have you watching and listening today. Thank you to all of you who made book launch week the best, most crazy, amazing week of my life. When I get a minute to process all this, I'm sure I will share more with you. Turner Painted Art, I just always happen to have a copy right here to pull into the screen with me, no big deal. Getting your feedback and hearing your guys' response to it means everything to me. I wrote it for you, and so to finally be able to connect it with you and have you be a part of it and read it is everything. I mean, thank you. I'm gonna cry. So today we're gonna talk about something really cool, and that is what I'm calling avoiding the negative spiral. I'm sure this has happened to you, right? Where you'll get a little bit off your game, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then you start, before you know it, you're spiraling out of control. And what I've been noticing is that this can happen in the other direction as well. You can get a little bit of momentum, you can build on it, you can be like, yeah, things are kind of working out, and you just keep layering and layering, and then you're like in the flow, in the zone, and you're feeling good, and like life's amazing. And then when I get like that, I'm like forgetting why I ever had any problems in the first place, and vice versa. When I'm like in my, like the opposite of the zone, when I'm like super just feeling hopeless or defeated or frustrated or depressed or whatever, then I forget that I've ever felt happy any day in my life. It's like I'm such an extremist about it. So I don't know if you can relate, but keep watching this episode. So basically what we want to do is figure out how to avoid the negative spiral. And the way that you do that is by putting it on your radar to watch for the subtle, tiny shifts. Because if we don't just treat them as these little shifts, but we know that they lead to something bigger, and a lot of times they set us up for more failure, then we're gonna pay attention to them and we're gonna put in the little bit of effort that it takes to change them. And the problem comes when something kind of shifts, you kind of feel like some heaviness come on you. A lot of times this happens to me when I'll have to do a workload item that I don't wanna do. Someone will send me an email and be like, hey, can you send me this? And to me, it just sounds like so much work, boring work behind a computer that I don't want to do because I'm an artist and I just want to write music and write songs, blah, 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 right? And so it feels like this heaviness comes over me because of this email or whatever. I know that sounds like a stupid problem, but that's like one in my everyday life that I face a lot. For you, it can be something maybe much more serious. I don't know, but something just kind of shifts inside you. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Or, oh, I don't look so good today. Or, oh, the weather, whatever the problem is for that day, right? We all have our problems all the time. So we need to stop and notice that. And I've been practicing this. I've got a little post-it note here. I'll show you. It says, practice believing. I don't know if you can see that. It says practice believing, guys. That's what it says. Because I've been needing to practice having good thoughts on purpose. And the way that you do that is you notice when the bad thoughts come. You notice the bad thoughts because they make you feel bad. And so I've been really using heaviness as something that's been really helping me. Every time I notice heaviness coming on, I get excited in a way because I'm like, oh, I got it. Like, that's good. Like, I need to watch myself feeling heavier, because usually what happens otherwise is you just start to feel heavy and you don't realize it. And then you kind of roll with that. That's when your negative spiral happens. That's when you end up in the hopeless, defeated place where you're like, what is the point? Get me off this planet. I hate everything. That's what we're trying to avoid. So you can practice. You can practice noticing your heavy feeling. For me, the word is heavy right now. Sometimes it's fog or whatever. Pick your word. Like, put a descriptive word on when that kind of shift starts to take place. Let's say you're at a neutral. You're like, okay, I'm fine. And then when it starts to go down in the wrong direction, the direction you don't want to go, name that. Because when you name it, when you put a label on it, you can kind of use that language moving forward, and you can notice it. And then what do you do when you notice it? Well, you're gonna catch it. You're gonna catch your thought that's fine. You're gonna find your thought that's causing the feeling. Our thoughts always cause our feelings. And this is fun and weird, and sometimes it's frustrating when I don't get it right, but you can always identify the thought. So to me, if I were to see this email come through telling me to do something I don't wanna do, the thought would be, I don't wanna do this. I have better things to do with my time. This is gonna ruin my day. Dang it, why don't I get better at stuff like this? This stuff keeps happening, I don't figure it out. All these like spiral things, and it becomes personal, and I make it about me and like why I'm the problem, right? Don't do that. So to review, we stop the negative spiral by noticing that feeling of heaviness or whatever you wanna call it, come on, trace it back to the thought that we had, and then deciding if we want to believe that thought, if we agree with that thought, if we wanna roll with that thought, if that thought is like a good idea, if it's serving us, or do we want to try to like maybe pull that out and replace it with a better thought? And so let's talk about positive spirals for a minute, because that can happen too. And you need to notice too when you feel that little bit spark, like the opposite of heavy, right? So the minute that you're like, ooh, right? Like you have like that little catch of whatever it is. Maybe, your outfit's like awesome that day, or maybe somebody at the grocery store smiled at you and made you feel loved, or whatever it is. Maybe you got a phone call from someone that like you really care about. Whenever the spark happens, capitalize on the spark. We're gonna maximize the spark. Maximizing is one of my skills. Like there's those, what are those tests called? I don't even know. I took one of those tests. Maximizing is in my top 5 skills. And so this is a skill that I'm happy to have because it serves me here. And you can develop this skill too. When you have a little bit, you turn it into a bigger thing. And so you realize, oh, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I got a little spark. Okay, this is gonna be a good day. Okay, I got this. And you capitalize on that momentum. When you feel like a little bit like that, and you're always just one choice away, like once you kind of start just a little bit, then you're gonna make decisions the rest of your day that amplify that. And the decisions look like, you know what, I'm gonna turn some music on this car ride home and dance a little bit. Or you know what, I'm gonna put a little more time into getting ready this morning so every time I look in the mirror, I feel like super freaking awesome today. Or you know what, I'm gonna send out this email that I'm like scared, I don't know if this awesome person will write me back or not, but I'm gonna send it anyway. And you start behaving in a way that like just increases the positive spiral. And this is amazing. And so I just wanted to offer this way of looking at it to you today, hopefully in a way that will serve you in the coming week. And you can just put it on your radar when you shift into the heavy or when you shift into the opposite of that, which I'm calling spark. Whatever the labels are for you, that doesn't matter. Get used to listening. Get used to feeling it when it's like a pit in your stomach or when it's like butterflies, right? Like they're totally 2 different opposite feelings. Pay attention to those and try to get into some positive spirals today. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I've never really talked about this in this format before, so leave me a comment on if you can kind of identify those feelings, like if you felt that way before, or do you kind of find yourself after the fact being like, what just happened? Like, where did all my drive go? Or where did my happiness go? I was doing so good and now I'm way off track or whatever. Leave me a comment letting me know. I'd love to see kind of where you guys are all at with this. And yeah, some really exciting stuff on the horizon. Turn Your Pain into Art tour, dang, coming right around the corner. I've been working hard on that. Getting my vocals ready, getting my tour outfits ready. It's gonna be sick. Cool. Pick up your copy of Turn Your Pain into Art if you have not yet. I feel like, is it Vanna White? Is that the Jeopardy person? Am I mixing up game shows? I don't even know. Thanks to my patrons for making today's episode possible. If you enjoyed this episode, you might want to send them a thank you because they're the ones who made it happen. They're sponsoring the show every single week, faithfully. So freaking exciting. All right, I'll see you next time. I love you.